to rock. Let's start with the best thing of 1990. In my opinion, gentlemen, I'm gonna lay the gauntlet down. Gun to my head, the greatest video game of all time, and that is Super Mario Brothers 3.
I don't know if you would find a lot of people out there disagreeing with you, but certainly a strong candidate, right?
Absolutely. I mean, this is
I
like
say that all the time.
one of the most influential games of all time, obviously, right? We have this conversation in the office pretty frequently about which one's the best, this or Super Mario World, and I frequently bounce back and forth between the two because Super Mario 3, it's a little older, but it's got a lot of heart.
Three paved the way for Mario.
It had so many innovations that led to
Mario
Super
World didn't
Mario
add
World.
too much. Super Mario Brothers 3 came out of, like, for me, nowhere in terms of just the sheer size of what you can do, the game, and then what you can do in it. It's just full of secrets. Everything is just layered upon layers of cool stuff. What an amazing game.
It invented the overworld for Mario games, which is still a staple today.
That's what I was going to say, is it really laid the foundation for things that Super Mario World did later on. Like you said, it didn't add all that much, but all these neat little features kind of coalesced in this really, really great experience that when I was 5 at the time.
So you got a Tanuki suit, you got a green boot.
Oh yeah.
Got all the good stuff.
The boot was super. I remember having a hard time finding it. Like, it was fairly rare within the game. You had the Hammer Brothers suit.
Hammer Bros.
Oh yeah.
Of course,
Kribo's shoe is only on one level.
The Leaf.
It's a little Easter egg.
Yeah. The Leaf, of course, you get right away. That's the box art.
The raccoon suit was a big deal, and the box art is so iconic and wonderful.
Yes.
I love that picture of Mario. But, you know, just flying was a concept that, you know, the princess could float for a little bit in Super Mario Brothers 2. But just the ability to make a level vertical was like the next step, and it took tech on the cartridge to make that possible. But before that, Nintendo games scrolled left or right, or they scrolled up or down. But just by nature of flying diagonally, they had to add hardware to the system, and they did that by putting it in the cartridge itself, which is really unusual.
Secrets. Legendary secrets in this game. Right in the first level, squat on the white box for a few seconds, and then you go behind the level.
That's actually in level 1-3, but yes, it's in the first world.
First world. My apologies.
You got the first level, you got the grass world, and you got that.
So many of my memories of this game are dying just because I would want to run fast enough and just fly.
Yep.
Because that was the coolest thing in the world to me. Was you always had really fine control over Mario's movements. That's one of the staples of the Mario games, is like being able to control your jump in varying heights and lengths. But taking it to another level, literally a higher level, was the flight mechanism with the with the Tanuki suit and stuff. And all I did was want to run fast, get to that little the power up P, and then fly off into.
I always hoarded my stuff in this game.
Yes,
because you had the lower menu where you could collect a bunch of things from Toad houses and the princess. And I'd get P-Wings, and I'd get leaves, and all this great stuff, and I'd be like, I'm not using them yet. And you could save them all for World 8, and then use them there. But even then, that got really hard. If you had P-Wings, you could fly over the tanks in the end of World 8, which are really hard. The airships and the tanks are those are
some of those airship levels get really intense. There's so many little cannonballs flying around, you can't even keep track of them sometimes.
It's funny how
it presents a pretty tough game.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's just massive, and even if you just wanted to beat it, that's not experiencing the game. So I remember, playing it, warping, playing all this stuff, but really not knowing World 6 and 7 very much, and just loving to go back there and be like, wow, this ice level is so hard. Why would you ever want to play through this? But now I have such an appreciation for just going to see it.
It's really I remember having very little experience. I think it's on Worlds 3 and 4 that are the desert levels.
2 is desert, 3 is the water one, you get a little canoe and you go
there you go. Yeah, I don't ever remember playing
I don't remember that
2.
at all.
And how about
you always skip that one.
Giant Land was
Giant Land is so
blew me away. I was like, everything's huge. What's going on right now?
How did they do it?
Extra tech made those giant sprites possible too. It's so cool. And in that world specifically, there was nothing like that, and it was the most memorable world in a Mario game, I think, to date. When I think of what's my favorite Mario levels, it's those are them.
Well,
some of the differences, some of that ideology extends all the way through the Marios. I remember, obviously, since the very first Mario, getting bigger when you eat a mushroom or when you connect with a mushroom has been a thing. But later on in Super Mario 64, there was a level that I remember very specifically where you walk into a corridor and there's 3 of the same paintings in various sizes. And when you jump into the smaller painting, everything's really tiny. And when you jump into the big one, everything's really big, but it's the exact same level and same enemies. And
that's cool.
I remember that becoming when I was that was when I was 9 or 10 years old at that point. But coming into that and being like, wait, this is the same level, but it plays totally differently. And it's the first time I think I remember becoming aware of like, this is game design. Like someone did this on purpose. And that's something like that's just been throughout all of the Marios. It's great.
Well, Sam, you mentioned this game kind of coming out of nowhere, but for me, I mean, I was probably the exact right age. I was 9 years old when this game came out.
I remember being promoted for years.
Coming off, well, I want to talk about the Wizard for a quick second as it pertains to the Wizard 100% worked on me. It was a 90-minute infomercial for Super Mario Brothers 3, the Fred Savage film.
Which had come out in Japan. Mario 3 came out in Japan in '88.
Yeah.
So there's 2 years of time for them to consider how they're going to promote it in the United States. And in those 2 years, The Wizard was made. I mean, a movie about it was made.
Wow. Yeah,
really cool.
I remember seeing the film, wanting the game so bad, and then I was as middle class as it gets growing up, Mesa, Arizona, and my parents, they were super middle class, and they never just bought me games. I would usually have to save up some sort of allowance or use birthday money or something like that. But I vividly remember one day I came home and my mother handed me a plastic Kmart shopping bag. Because remember, Kmart actually did sell, they had a little video game section for a time, and I could see the yellow box through it. And I opened it up, and my mother had just, on a whim, bought me Super Mario Brothers 3, which had never happened with games. And
remember the Mario commercial where it's the whole Earth chanting, and they've all come coalesced to make an image of Mario as it pulls out? Mario, Mario.
I don't remember that.
It was an extremely hyped game. And it was really cool that month in Nintendo Power, they also released a strategy guide. And another thing we're going to be talking about, Final Fantasy had a strategy guide too that year. But Nintendo Power, if you had a subscription at the time, you got this massive strategy guide that just exposed all the secrets in Mario, and that just made it all the more appealing to me as a kid.
So Super Mario Brothers 3 sold 4 million copies in Japan, 7 million in the US. Huge numbers for the back then. And as of just a few years ago, if you adjust for inflation, Super Mario Brothers 3 is the highest grossing non-bundled video game ever, which, again, adjusted for inflation, $1.7 billion.
Wow.
Deservedly so.
It's GTA money.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
No
yeah,
kidding.
now, you started to talk about, Sam, the custom hardware on the cartridge itself.
Yeah. Yeah, there's, what is it called, MMC?
MMC3.
Yeah, that chip not only allowed to have diagonal scrolling in the game, but it also allowed for that lower third where it has a menu. That was something that just the NES couldn't do on its own. It also allowed for sprites to be animated, a lot more sprites to be moving and animated. You'll remember there's the if you're in the desert world and there's a bunch of bricks, all the bricks have a little shine to them. But the one brick that doesn't have a shine is the guy that can jump. There's really small details like that which were made into that.
The jumping bricks, man, I hated those so much.
Like
it got to the point where you memorized where most of them were, but just the way they kind of jump, it's
that arc
always
is
unpredictable. You think you're clear of their path, but you're not.
Now, Sam, you've got a fun fact down here that actually even I did not know. The names of the Koopa Kids.
Yeah. Every single one is named after a musician. So you have Iggy for Iggy Pop, you have Windy for Windy O from the Plasmatics.
Wow.
You have Ludwig von Koopa. Roy Koopa is Roy Orbison.
That's amazing.
That's awesome. I did not know
on.
that. That's cute.
Yeah.
And I just want to finish up on Mario 3 by adding, if you've played it or not, it doesn't even matter. You need to have a modern copy of it around. I have it in my backpack right now on my 3DS.
Yeah, me too.
So it's $10 in the, which is maybe a little pricey, but it's Mario 3. It's worth it. In the virtual console system,
Wii U
the eShop. That's the word I'm looking for on virtual console on either Wii U or 3DS. So go buy it for the love of God.
Oh yeah.
No matter what you've got.
must have bought
So
that game 10
accessible and
times.
great to play. It just feels you feel like you're flying.
It's also timeless.
great.
I mean, the art direct, nothing about it has aged badly.
Yeah.
It will look and
nothing.
play beautifully forever.
Going back to it was also great just because some of the things you don't pick up on as a kid, like how great the music is and how iconic it is.
Yeah.
Weird
things that
instrumentation too.
Yeah.
And if you play with a friend, you can stop them where they are, go to that level, and then you fight them in a classic Mario Brothers level, like not Super Mario Brothers, Mario Brothers. Remember that? Where you go head to head in the
Absolutely.
little, and you can knock out all their coins, and then you can just play their turn, I believe. Well, you can definitely take their cards. If you at the end of each level, you hit the little brick that gives you a star, a flower, or a mushroom, and steal those from your friends. It's really funny.
So possibly. Bye.